Yesterday, the doors seemed open. You felt the electricity, the clarity, and the absolute certainty that your life had changed. You decreed that you were the portal. But today, the air seems denser. If you woke up feeling an inexplicable weight, a sudden doubt, or a strange desire to go back to the comfort of what you swore to abandon yesterday, do not panic. You didn't lose the frequency. The magic didn't go away. You just entered the friction zone. On the day after any great leap of consciousness, the universe applies a reality check. It is a law of physics. For every action, there is a reaction. Yesterday, you broke with the gravity of your past. Today, the past is stretching the rubber band to try to pull you back to the old orbit. This feeling of being stuck, of tiredness, or of confusion that tries to cloud your crystalline vision is not a sign that you failed. On the contrary, only those walking against the wind feel its resistance. This is not the moment to doubt the revelation you had. This is the moment to defend it. The ecstasy of the full moon is easy. The consistency of the next day is what builds destiny. The portal gave you the vision, but it is your firmness today that will build the road. You are in the middle of an invisible tug-of-war between your ancient history and your future. To anchor your feet on the ground, refuse the regression, and warn the resistance that you will not yield even a millimeter. Leave your command of stability registered now. Write in the comments, "I hold the vision." The first challenge you face today, the exact moment you open your eyes after crossing the portal, does not come from the stars, nor from external circumstances. It comes from within. It comes from your own biology. We are dealing with the brutal and inevitable phenomenon known as the counterattack of habit. To understand what is happening with your energy now, you need to comprehend the abysmal difference in speed between spirit and matter. Yesterday, under the light of the full moon, your spirit accelerated. It saw the truth. It expanded. It broke barriers. But your body, the flesh, the bones, the nervous system, and the cellular memory is dense. It is slow. It does not operate at the speed of light. It operates at the speed of repetition. You decreed the change yesterday. Today, you are feeling the physical and psychological symptoms of chemical withdrawal. For years, perhaps decades, you addicted your organism to a specific cocktail of hormones generated by your old emotions. Morning anxiety, chronic doubt, the sensation of victimization. Your body learned that this chemical state is normal. It understands this familiar suffering as biological safety. When you cut this supply, when you decide that the lie is over and that you will live in peace, your biological system goes into red alert. It does not recognize the new frequency of clarity. To your primitive survival instinct, the unknown, even if it is freedom, is read as a deadly threat. The body prefers known pain to unknown pleasure. So, habit launches a counteroffensive to try to bring you back to the old baseline. That is why you might be feeling a sudden lethargy today, a laziness that seems to weigh tons, or a thick mental fog that tries to erase yesterday's crystalline insights. It's not that the vision has disappeared, it's that your body is throwing smoke to blind you. Habit is a treacherous enemy because it does not present itself as a monster. It disguises itself as reason. Today, the voice of habit will whisper in your ear with cold and seductive logic. You exaggerated yesterday. That was just excitement. Be realistic. Nothing really changed. Look at your bank account. Look at your house. Everything is the same. Go back to sleep. Go back to worrying. It is safer here on the ground. This voice tries to convince you that the portal's vision was a hallucination and that today's grey reality is the only solid truth. Do not fall into this trap. This is the ego fighting not to die. You will notice that the counterattack tries to push you toward your automatic safety triggers. Today, you will feel an uncontrollable urge to find something wrong. the cold coffee, the traffic, just to feel the familiar relief of indignation, a problem that doesn't even exist, just to be able to spend hours ruminating, because rumination is the safe place of your old mind. If your addiction was passivity, the sofa will seem like a giant magnet sucking away your will to act. The mortal danger of this stage is invisibility. You can spend the whole day reacting to these impulses without realizing that, in fact, you aren't feeling any of this. You are just reproducing an old script. You entered yesterday's autopilot, betraying today's promise. The key to winning is not fighting with brute force. The key is conscious dissociation. Look at your desire to go back. Look at your laziness and recognize them for what they are. Echoes. This is not you. This is the memory of who you used to be, kicking and screaming before falling into oblivion. Let the body kick and scream. Let the old mind scream its logical arguments. You remain motionless. Do not engage in dialogue with habit. Just keep walking. Do what needs to be done. Even feeling the weight in your legs, take the next step, even without desire. Every time you act despite the weight, you break a link in the old chain. You teach your body that there is a new master in the house. Habit is strong, but it is dumb. It only has the strength of repetition. You have the strength of intention, and intention, when sustained under pressure, always bends matter. If the counterattack of habit is your body's internal resistance, the second phenomenon defining this day's energy is an external force that seems to lock the movement of things. We call this the necessary friction. Yesterday, under the portal's effect, you felt the flow. Doors opened. Ideas ran, certainty was liquid. Today, however, you may feel like someone pulled the handbrake on your reality. Everything seems to require double the effort to produce half the result. Dialogue stalls, traffic stops, technology fails, patience shortens. It is very common at this stage for the ego to despair and start creating failure narratives. I lost the connection. I did something wrong. The universe is punishing me. Stop this childish interpretation immediately. The universe does not punish. It forges. What you are feeling is not a system error. You are trying to install a new life architecture, your I am the portal from yesterday, over an old foundation that hasn't been totally demolished yet. We are living an astrological aspect of maximum tension where the past and the future are colliding head-on, and you are exactly in the middle of the impact. This collision generates heat, it generates friction. And here is the secret most ignore. Friction is the only mechanism capable of creating a weld. Imagine you are trying to join two pieces of metal, your intention for change and your physical reality. You cannot glue them with happy thoughts or soft intentions. For the change to become permanent, for it to withstand the jolt of time, it needs to be fused in fire. The tension you feel today is that fire. It is the heat necessary to weld your new identity into your flesh. If today were an easy, light and fluid day, your decision yesterday would be just a passing euphoria. It would be a pretty dream that would evaporate in the first rain. It is today's difficulty that makes yesterday's decision real. The universe is asking you a silent and brutal question through this friction. Were you serious? Anyone can decree change when full of dopamine and hope. Anyone can be a portal when the light is on and the music is playing. But who can sustain the vision when the scenery turns grey? Who can maintain the posture of sovereignty when the world outside offers resistance? The necessary friction serves to burn what is superficial. Cheap excitement burns fast and turns to ash today. Real commitment, the one that comes from the soul, withstands the fire and turns to steel. Therefore, do not pray asking for the day to get easier. Do not ask for obstacles to magically disappear in the next few hours. That would be asking to interrupt the healing process. Instead, Change your relationship with friction. When you feel like you are walking in mud today, do not stop. Push harder. Use the ground's resistance to strengthen your legs. When a situation tries to throw you off axis, do not react with victimization. Look at it and say, I see you. You are the endurance test. Understand that comfort is the natural state of the past. Friction is the natural state of growth. The plane needs air friction to take flight. The diamond needs earth pressure to harden. You need this stuck day to prove to yourself that your change was not a whim, but a conquest. The necessary friction did not come to stop you. It came to give you traction. Without friction, you slip and fall. With friction, you climb. Accept the heat. Let it melt your old shell. What comes out of this oven will be unbreakable. While habit attacks your body with lethargy and friction attacks your reality with obstacles, a third enemy arises, more subtle and seductive, operating directly in your emotional center. We are talking about the temptation of comfort. Yesterday, you were willing to conquer the world. Today, you just want the world to stop spinning so you can get off. The tension generated by change is exhausting. Sustaining a new frequency, watching thoughts, and acting with integrity burns an immense amount of psychic energy. Your ego, realizing the battery is running low, offers an immediate and irresistible solution. Go back. Go back to what you already know. It was easier back there. The temptation of comfort does not invite you to luxury. It invites you to the known. Today, you will feel a toxic longing for things that were bad for you. It is a counterintuitive phenomenon, but biologically explainable. You will miss that lukewarm relationship because at least there you knew the rules of the game, and the solitude of sovereignty is new and scary terrain. You will feel the urge to apologize for having set a necessary boundary just to relieve the conflict tension and return to the false peace of submission. You will feel the impulse to give up on the new project you started with such fire because the mediocrity of your old job didn't require courage. It only required presence. Comfort sells you the illusion of safety. It whispers, why so much effort? Why so much war? You don't need to be a hero. You can just be normal. Drop the sword. Lie down. This voice is soft, almost maternal. It promises anesthesia for growing pains, but do not be fooled. The anesthesia of comfort is the prelude to spiritual death. The comfort zone calling you today is not a place of rest. It is a place of decay. Nothing grows there. It is sterile soil where dreams go to die of starvation. Going back there now, after having seen the portal's light, would be an act of violence against your own soul. It would be like a prisoner who, after having the bars sawed and the door opened, decides to stay in the cell because he is afraid of feeling cold outside. Understand that the discomfort you feel today, the uncertainty, the exposure, the butterflies in the stomach, is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the sign of vitality. Only those who are expanding feel discomfort. The skin itches when it stretches. The muscle burns when it grows. The butterfly struggles to leave the cocoon. Absolute comfort is a characteristic of corpses. Today, your task is to look at the temptation of comfort and recognize it as a mirage. That old peace you romanticize in your memory never existed. You were not in peace. You were anesthetized. You were not safe. You were stagnant. Your mind is editing the past, erasing the pain, and leaving only familiarity to convince you to give up. Do not negotiate with mediocrity. When the urge to go back to normal hits, remember that normal was exactly what was making you sick. You didn't make all this effort, didn't cross yesterday's emotional storm to swim back to the shore and die on the sand. The cure for the temptation of comfort is deliberate discomfort. Today, make a point of doing what is hard. If the body asks for the couch, go for a walk. If the ego asks to yield and make undue apologies, stand firm. If the mind asks for easy distraction, force focus. Teach your system that discomfort won't kill you. It will free you. The safety you seek is not behind you in the known past. It is in front, in the future you are building with the sweat of your permanence. Comfort is the prize for those who finish the race, not for those who quit at the first turn. Keep running. If comfort is the physical temptation, the fourth obstacle you face today is purely mental and emotional. It is a sophisticated sabotage mechanism that operates by distorting your own history. We are talking about the treacherous memory. At this exact moment, while you deal with the pressure of change and the friction of the new self, your brain begins to do something dangerous. It begins to edit the past. You will notice that suddenly the things you left behind start to look better than they really were. It is the phenomenon of toxic nostalgia. You look at the relationship that ended or should end, and suddenly your mind erases the fights, erases the disrespect, erases the nights you cried yourself to sleep. It leaves only the good moments. It turns up the brightness on happy memories and puts a soft filter over the pain. You look at the job that made you sick or the habit that destroyed you, and the treacherous memory whispers, "It wasn't that bad, was it? At least you knew what to expect. At least you didn't feel this pressure you are feeling now." This is the great lie of the day after. Your memory is not a faithful documentary of facts. It is a propagandist for the ego. The ego is terrified of the uncertainty of the future, so it tries to sell you the past as a safe haven. It falsifies the data. It omits the suffering to convince you to go back. You need to understand that this longing you feel today is not love. It is fear in disguise. You don't miss the person. You miss the security of not being alone. You don't miss the old life. You miss the absence of responsibility. The treacherous memory tries to convince you that you made a mistake by changing. It tells you, "Look what you lost," but it hides the reason why you left. Today, you need to be smarter than your own mind. When the wave of nostalgia hits, when the urge to romanticize what has already died appears, do the exercise of raw memory. Force yourself to remember the real reason for the rupture. Remember the anguish. Remember the feeling of being trapped. Remember the exact day you said, "I can't take it anymore." Bring that pain back to consciousness, not to suffer, but to use as an antidote against the illusion. The reality of the past wasn't golden. It was grey. If it were good, you wouldn't have needed yesterday's portal. If it were enough, you wouldn't be here seeking transformation. The past only looks beautiful now because it is dead, and dead things require nothing of us. The present is demanding because it is alive. Do not fall into the error of Lot from the ancient scripture. Whoever looks back with desire turns into a pillar of salt, paralysis, death in life. The treacherous memory wants to turn you into a statue, trapped eternally, looking at a ruin that has already burned down. You already know the ending of that story, and it doesn't change just because you are feeling insecure today. The ending of the old story is pain. The only open ending where victory is possible is on the blank page in front of you. Respect your decision from yesterday more than you respect your longing from today. Longing passes. Regression leaves permanent scars. Keep your eyes on the horizon. What was left behind has nothing more to offer you but dust. Now that you have identified the three enemies of the day, habit, friction, and memory, the inevitable question is how to face them without exhausting your energy. The answer is not in fighting against them, but in changing your position on the board. You need to activate the unshakable observer. Most people fail the reality test because they merge with the emotion. When doubt arises, they become the doubt. When anger appears, they become the anger. They say, "I am sad," assuming sadness as an identity. Today, you will do differently. You will create a surgical distance between who you are and what you feel. Imagine you are sitting on top of a mountain, watching a storm in the valley below. Lightning strikes, the wind howls, the rain is torrential. It is a chaotic scene, but you at the top are not wet. You see the storm, respect its force, but are not dragged by it. This is the posture of the observer. Today, when the light hangover hits, when the body feels heavy or irritation rises, do not react. Do not try to fix the feeling. Do not try to expel it by force. Simply take a step back inside your own mind and say, "Look, there is anxiety trying to come back," or, "Interesting, my ego is trying to make me feel guilt now." The moment you observe the emotion, instead of drowning in it, you break the hypnotic power it has over you. You stop being the victim of the storm and become the rock the storm cannot move. Today's solar square wants to provoke your reactivity. It wants you to lose your head, to scream, to give up. If you react, you lose energy and feed the chaos. If you observe, you preserve your energy, and the chaos dies from lack of fuel. Your sovereignty does not come from controlling what happens outside, nor even from controlling what you feel inside. It comes from the capacity to feel intense discomfort and still not move a muscle of your original decision. Let the chaos pass through you like wind through a screen. It comes, makes noise, and goes away. You stay. The unshakable observer is the part of you that remembers yesterday's commitment even when everything else wants to forget. Keep your eyes open and your mouth closed. You made it this far. You faced the attack of biology, withstood the friction of the world, resisted the temptation of comfort, and ignored the lie of memory. Now, you need to understand what all this effort has just produced. We are talking about the process of welding. Many people believe that transformation happens at the moment of insight, when the light turns on and the tear falls. This is a mistake. Insight is just the proposal for change. Real transformation happens on the day after, in the heat of the silent battle you fought in the last few hours. Imagine you are trying to join two pieces of solid metal, your new identity and your physical reality. You cannot join them with glue, adhesive tape, or positive thoughts. For these two pieces to become a unique and unbreakable structure, they need to be fused, and fusion requires extreme heat. The tension, the discomfort, the urge to quit, and the resistance you felt today, all of that was the heat. Without this fire, your decision from yesterday would have been just a superficial decoration in your life, something that would fall in the first gale. But because there was resistance and because you stood firm against it, welding occurred. Every time you said no to the old habit today, you made a weld point. Every time you felt the pain of discipline and kept walking, you strengthened the metal alloy. The universe used the difficulty of this day not to punish you, but to ensure that your new frequency did not leak. It was closing the gaps. It was making the change structural. Now, as the day ends, the metal begins to cool. What seemed like an unbearable effort in the morning is starting to harden in the form of character. Your new reality is ceasing to be an attempt to become your nature tomorrow. You won't need to use so much strength. The weld will be done. The structure will be standing. What today was a struggle, tomorrow will be just who you are. Do not complain about the heat you felt today. It was what guaranteed that you didn't break into pieces. Your sovereignty is now solid. The portal is no longer a place you visit. Now it is welded into you. The storm has passed and you are still standing. That is all that matters today. You proved something fundamental to the universe. Your enlightenment is not party clothes you wear only when everything is fine. It is your new skin. It takes the hit. It takes the weight. It does not tear under pressure. You did not retreat to the comfort of the past. Even when the treacherous memory begged, you withstood the friction, and in doing so, transformed yesterday's volatile light into solid structure for tomorrow. The test is complete. The weld has cooled and the piece is firm. Now draw a definitive line on the ground. From here back, there is no return. The vision you received in the portal is the only law that prevails in your territory from now on. Protect it with the ferocity of a guardian, for it is the map of your destiny. To anchor this unshakable firmness and warn the resistance that you are not for sale, leave your final decree registered. Write in the comments, "I hold the vision." The vision is yours. The future belongs to those who